So, hi, good evening, everyone. Can anyone hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Edie. So, okay, good evening once again. We have just 2 minutes to the start of our class. If possible, I can see just 21 participants on the call. Can we reach out to our party members to remind them it's time for class so they can join before we get started? So, good evening, everyone. We're all welcome to this week's class. Just some few ground rules before we get started. Today we are going to be looking at local government administration, right? So before we introduce our facilitator, I want to say that please don't forget, um, if you have any questions in the course of the class, there's no need to be worried. You can pen your questions down. After the class, we're going to take questions. So yes, we're going to take questions at the end of the class. So you would either speak or you drop your questions in the chat box. So there's no need to worry in the course of if you get any question, just pen them down. Right. Then please, if possible, we can still remind our party members to join the call, but we're not going to wait for them. We're going to get started. So I'm going to introduce our facilitator. I'm going to read his bio before I hand the mic over to him. Our facilitator for today is Professor Abdul Hamidu Abdullahi. He's a PhD holder in local government and development studies with many years of working experience at administrative managerial level, field work, and volunteerism. He commenced his working career with Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic, Zaria, then Kaduna State College of Advanced Studies, where he rose to the rank of senior lecturer. He was the head of Department of General Studies and later Deputy Dean at Federal Polytechnic, Nasarawa. He presently works at Amadu University Zaria, where he is involved in teaching, research, community development at the Department of Local Government and Development Studies. He has held many other responsibilities, such as Secretary, National Conference Organizing Committee of the Department of Local and Development Studies, staff advisor of Association of Students of Local Government and Development Studies, patron of Junior Chambers International JCI, coordinator of diploma programs, editorial board member of Zaria Journal of Art and Liberal Studies. In terms of writing and publishing academic research work and presentations, he has many conference papers, journal articles, and chapters in some books to his credit. Professor Abdul is the producer of a radio program in Hausa language at DITV Alheri Radio 97.7 FM Zaria called Jamia the Jama'a, Town and Gown. An assistant research fellow at Center for Democratic Development Research and Training, member of Board of Trustees, Funtua Community College of Health Sciences and Technology, Funtua, chairman of Initiative for Orphans and Vulnerable Persons, Zaria, and patron, Harmony Youth, Muchia, Zaria. He's also a member of Community Development Charter and the Word Integrity Companion of his ward, Dogarawa, Sabongeri, Zaria, under the auspice of Aid Foundation, a registered NGO involved in advocacy and development. Professionally, he is a member of International Association of Community Development, Scotland, the West African Research and Innovation Management Association, Nigeria, and a member of Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse, and Labor. He is the Deputy Director, North Central of the Electoral College, Nigeria. He's also an Associate Professor of Local Governance and Development Studies from the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. I know that we can't clap our hands, our mics are muted, but please let's give a warm welcome to our facilitator, Professor Abdul. You have the mic, sir.
Okay, hi Peace. Thank you for that introduction. So our facilitator is having some challenges with his network, so let's just give him a few minutes as he attempts to join. But meanwhile, as we wait, please get your party members to join the class. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. This is Kunelawa. First and foremost, I would like to say this is kind of like the last week's grace. From next week, what's going to happen is that by then you have party executive next week. So what's going to happen is that for every time your party falls short in class, your party will be deducted points or attendance will be taken from all of you. We take our course very, very seriously. And I think it's, Lisa, I hope you're marking what I'm saying. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Edie. So I think before our facilitator gets settled, right, I would love to ask that if there's anyone so far from the past classes, if there's anything that has stood out for you about the course and you'd love to share, we can hear you. You can just indicate by raising up your hand and you'd be asked to unmute and make your comments. Oh, our facilitator is back.
Good
So,
day,
sir,
sir.
you have the mic.
Good day, sir. I've made you a co-host, so I think
Thank you very much, Edie. Long time.
a long time, sir. And I must introduce you to the 17th cohort. And I must also say that this is my lecturer in local government when I was in ABU. But that was some many years ago. Some many years ago. Thank you very much for all the work you put in with the college.
My network has been disappointing me. Sorry, class.
Sorry about that, sir. But they will understand. You taught their ED now, and their ED teaches them, so they will understand. Thank you very much, sir. It's a pleasure as usual, sir. I remain loyal, sir.
I'm loyal to Edie. Yeah, so thank you. Is it who is sharing my screen? Who's
Okay, I'll bring
sharing
it
this?
up now.
All right.
Good evening, Prof.
Yeah, good evening, Lisa. Sorry, my network just abruptly become another thing else. Yeah. So, class, you're welcome. I hope you have finished the formalities. I've seen some people have put their party, some have not, and the rest. So I don't know. I wanted to put my own party, but I don't know whether Lisa will allow that. Eh? Am I free to put my party, Lisa? Hello, am I
You're free,
audible?
sir. You're free, but the parties are pseudo parties. That's not their real life parties.
Oh, okay. Meanwhile,
Yes, it's the college that shared them into parties. Yes.
Why didn't you share me now into one of the parties? Okay, thank you very much. Are you sharing the screen, the slide?
Please just give me some minutes. Coming up now.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, class. I'm sorry for joining very late. Am I audible enough? Am I audible enough? Please,
Yes, you
can
are,
somebody
Prof.
tell?
Yes,
Oh,
you
that's
are.
very good. Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me this golden opportunity, Electoral College. I will not take it for granted. So we are going to discuss a very sensitive issue. Sensitive in the sense that sensitive and complex, maybe, in the sense that there are so many pronunciations, so many lawsuits and the rest of them, so many late night meetings. You know, politics, if you ask the ED, will tell you how they meet in the night and the rest of them. Another way of marginalizing the female folks so that they will not participate in meetings. That's the patriarchal nature of Nigerians. Okay, you see, just like the slide is showing, you have shown my name and the rest. I want you to understand that we are going to speak strictly based on the 1999 Constitution, which, okay, my name is Abdulhamid Abdullahi, Associate Professor, and the rest of them. So now in the next slide, please. So in Nigeria, the local government is made up of 774 local government areas with 6 area councils. That's making up, that's in the Federal Capital Territory. Now, apart from this, some years back, especially beginning with the time of His Excellency, the present president of Nigeria, Senator Tinubu, there was a creation of area council, area development council, or area development, local area development council. They gave it all sorts of names. And that went into, they had a problem with the then president, Olusegun Obasanjo, and he has to stop the remitting the money to Lagos State government for such a long period of time. Later on, there was a judgment which forced him to release all the money. So, but basically, these are some of the areas that local government responsibilities is handled with. Pre-primary school, primary school, adult education, libraries, public health, town planning, roads, transport, sewage disposal, parks, and guiding. Now, you should understand that this is not a straitjacket issue. It's something that has some constitutional backing. So it's not necessarily a straitjacket issue. So based on that, next slide. Based on that, you will come to realize that when we say local government, we are talking about a government that is closer to the people. Thus, according to United Nations, it's a political subdivision of a nation constituted by a law and has substantial control of local affairs. And because of that, we can now happily say that the local government has some characteristics. One of the basic characteristics of the local government is that it is a legal entity. but at the same time, a political unit will define what? Will define authority. So it enjoys certain powers over its jurisdiction. It is a council that could be elected or selected depending on the constitution of the country that the local government is. Next slide. In Nigeria, presently, it is only elected, not selected. Next slide. So, next slide. These are, okay, you have passed too much. Follow them one by one, go back a little bit. So because of that, the local government has undergone a lot of evolution. I'll be very fast so that I can give room for questions. Now, the local government has undergone a lot of evolution, but the most significant evolution of the local government from the period of native authority to local government council is the most significant landmark is the 1976 local government reform, which outlined that it is a government at the local level exercised through representative council established by law to exercise specific powers within a defined areas. So Section 7 and the first schedule of the 1999 Constitution amended set out the functions of the local government as follows. Next slide. Now it has a political role to serve as an instrument of promoting local democracy, and it's a useful tool for conducting elections at all levels. Basically, it is a training ground for politicians and leaders. Next slide. Now, it is a training ground for both politicians and leaders because in some countries, especially where our government now is tilting to France, in some countries like France, you can see that the local government, usually in France, the highest authority you can get is the president or the prime minister, but at the same time, most of them pass through the local government. Even the recent election is activity of a local government. Now look at these two pictures. You can see it is a street in Jakande area in Lagos State, Jakande Estate. Look at how it is like, and then look at the ideal street. Next slide. I'm just showing you this so that you can see drainage is one of the most important role of the local government. Please, somebody is touching our slide. Somebody is touching the screen, which is a big computer. Remove the whiteboard, I beg. Don't put. Okay, now look at this is drainage. This is the responsibility of the local government. All right, but as we shall come to see later on, I want somebody to note it down. We have urban local government and rural local government. For example, Ikoyi is a center of is a capital of Lagos State and is also a local government. So we shall come to discuss this clash of the Tatars. Who is responsible for who? Next slide. Then it has socio-economic role. The socio-economic role of the local government is to make appropriate service and develop areas to respond to social economic activities of the people, to facilitate the exercise of democratic self-government close to the local people, to mobilize human and material resources through the involvement of members of the public in their local development, and to provide a two-way channel of communication between the local communities and the community. Next slide. Next, yeah, and then the local government, apart from some of those functions, it has mandatory function that is stated in the Constitution. These are mandatory functions that is stated in the Constitution: maintenance of cemeteries, burial ground, and the rest of them, lasting of bicycle, troughs, canoes, wheelbarrow, and the rest of them. The next question we are going to ask is, how is it feasible? What amount of money can you get in bicycle? Although with this electronic solar-driven bicycle, maybe money can be made if there is taxation by local government. The naming of streets, maintenance of public conveniences and refuse disposal, registration of birth, death, marriage, and tenement rates or property tax. Next slide. And then it continues. Regulation of outdoor advertisement, movement and keeping of pets, right? And then snacks and shops, restaurants, and the rest of them. Next slide. Now, it has also what you call concurrent. You know what concurrent means? Things that are almost on daily basis that need to be done. This is also very important for the local government in order to provide some kind of connection between the people and the local government. Next slide. Then it has an administrative structure. This administrative structure is not conclusive. It's supposed to be 6, and even in some places 7. So we have finance and administration, works and infrastructure, social development, social and educational development, ESD, education and social development, and agric and forestry. Next slide. Then it's also been controlled by certain organs. The structure of local government is one of them is the Ministry of Local Government Affairs, which is the major organ of control of the local government. Then this inspects the ministry has zonal inspectors, and then they also arrange the State Joint Allocation Fund Committee meeting. Next slide. Then you have also the Local Government Service Board. That one, in terms of employment of level 7 and above. And then it is also ensuring that there should be accountability at the local government by trying to deal with the audit alert committee and then taking care of auditing of the local government accounts and the rest of them through the State Auditor General of Local Government. Next slide. Now, state and local government pension bureau or board, depending upon the state you are talking about. And because of that, they have to have this state and local government pension bureau because of the staff of the local government that are retiring. But most importantly also, they also have to have collaboration with ministries such as agri, health, education, and the rest of them, because at the end of the day, you see that some people are seconded to go to the local government and work from the Ministry of Agri, from health, from education, and the rest of them. So other interest groups are also part of this informal structure, as we shall see later. Next slide. Now, the responsibility of political actors at the local government. You may like to ask, who are the political actors at the local government? The political actors at the local government is the chairman, vice chairman, and the elected councillors. The elected councillors. So at the local government, we have basically 2 structures, legislative and executive, without the judicial arm of government. So the executive perform both political, administrative, financial functions, while the legislators perform the lawmaking, approval of bills, monitoring and financial duties as expected of them, and then with oversight function. Next slide. Now, basically, the chairman has a very big role. He is the executive chairman, and that means the receipt and disbursement of public funds and other assets. He handles that and is liable to any breach of it. That is why he's called executive. And he allocates responsibility to the vice chairman and to other councillors and the secretary to local government as he deems fit. But he is supposed to comply with the provision of the financial memorandum regarding his fiscal responsibility. Next slide. Now, the councillors, they are supposed to attend meeting at least once a month. They should serve in committees such as education, security, and the rest, and they will liaise with the local government and their constituencies on policy matters and mobilize full support for government and particularly local government development. Next slide. Now we have the secretary of the local government. The secretary of the local government make arrangement for meetings of the council, provide agenda and minutes, as you know, the role of the secretary, and discharge any other function as may be assigned to him by the council. Next slide. Now we also have supervisory councillors. Supervisory councillors are members of the council and they attend the local government executive meeting because they are supervisors. They are heading, for example, different departments, and as such, they have to attend the council meeting, the executive council meeting. They also attend the planning committee meeting, and they are members of also other committees. Next slide. Now there is a general administration of the local government, which the chairman I've said earlier is the boss. That means all the other departments with their directors and the rest of them are under the chairman or under the secretary. The secretary is under the chairman, as the case may be. Next slide. Now, in financial matters, the chairman is the accounting officer. Then that means the executive arm of the local government prepares the local government estimate and submits it to the legislative arm for approval. Then once the budget is approved by the legislative arm, then there is the monitoring of, the only control they have is the monitoring of projects, that's the legislative arm, and demanding for monthly statement of account and expenditure of the local government from the executive. And the award of contract is entirely an executive matter. That means the chairman only ensures the spending limit of the various bodies and departments in the local government are complied with. But in terms of contract, is the entirely an executive matter headed by the chairman. Next. So you can see that in financial matters, the chairman has a lot of power, but also the head of admin and finance is a signatory to local government accounts after the chairman. Before any payment is made, there must be a voucher raised, and before any check is raised, the expenditure must have received the authorization of the chairman of the local government. Next slide. Now, the local government has various sources of finance, divided into two, basically, internal and external. The external include the federation funds from the federation account. Then there is another one, the state contribution of the 10%. The states of each state is supposed to give the local government 10% of the state internally generated revenue, while the value added tax and grants are also part of the local government source of finance. Then the internally generated revenue is generated by local government, such as tenement rates, motor parks, garage, kiosks, shops, and the rest of them. Then there are also another source, that is grant for special projects, such as health and environmental crisis. When there was Ebola, many people, government from outside, or many institutions from outside brought money from the most heated local government as a form of grant so that they can be able to facilitate the taking care of that problem. But you know, at the end of the day, most of the vehicles that were bought ended up in personal people's homes after the tenure of that very particular chairman. Next slide. Now, in order to understand this very clearly, I try to show you these two pictures. Now look at Ilesa Jakande Estate and look at the other picture by the other side. You can see the contrast, and you cannot see why we are having a lot of problem with a lot of collapse of building and the rest of them. You can see the contrast. Next slide. Then you can see this one too. Look at the difference in terms of building. And not just building, the environment. Look at the environment. This one is green base, and this one is slum, is a ghetto. And as such, increasing the problem of development in the country because of mosquito. When you are bitten by a mosquito, you become sick. When you are sick, the money is supposed to use for food, you use it for drugs. The money is supposed to use it for investment, you now use it for drugs and the rest of them. Next slide. Now this is it, refuse disposal. Look at the contrast. This is the nature of the refuse disposal. And that is why I look at somebody's scavenging the refuse dump. You can see somebody there scavenging the refuse dump. He's assisting the government to some extent. But then at the same time, when there's nothing to scavenge, you can remove your gloves, you can remove any of your appliances that is outside, you can carry any good thing and put in his bag, and then that is all. So another problem again. Good. Next slide. Now, you can see that based on that, you can understand that local government is operating within two environments. There is the external environment, and then there is the internal environment. The external environment can be formal and it can be informal. The formal environment is made up of formal government institutions that regulate and impact on the operation of the local government, such as, for example, all those ministries that have one thing or the other to do with the local government. And then on the other hand, we have also informal environment, such as the pressure groups, the market women, the community-based organizations. You know, some of the community-based organizations are not registered, but they are also very powerful. And then we also have another external, internal environment of the local government. That's the retirees. When you have in your local government, you have a retired major general. You know that you are not careful, there's going to be a problem for you in that local government. We shall come to discuss that later. Next slide. So the environment is very, very important, because it is through the environment that the formal environment and the informal environment that activities are taking place. So, for example, the siting of markets, the siting of motor parks, and the rest of them, all those informal environment have a very big stake in determining where those places are located. And especially if you have big senior retirees who are money bags, then it becomes a problem for the local government again, because they have to dance to their tune. Next slide. Now, what is the potentials of the local government for promoting social and economic development? You can see if you start from any angle, when you provide healthcare service, then there will be the development of locally customized poverty alleviation initiative. There will be education. There will be business environment. There will be provision of infrastructure and related service, and then it's a kind of a cycle. So these are some of the potentials that the local government has for economic, socio-economic development. Next slide. Now, but there are factors that are limiting the effectiveness of the local government in achieving those things. One of the basic factors is low technical and managerial capacities and skill. For example, in my local government, I don't know if they have any PhD holder, it should be maybe one or two. And a local government that is more than 10 years old. You can imagine, how can you have, in this era, wherein we are talking about digital economy, we are talking about e-governance and the rest of them, how do you now communicate to people who are half illiterate in terms of bringing up proposal and feasibility studies and the rest of them, and even discussing the budget, expertise, economy management, and the rest of them? So it becomes a problem. Next slide. Not to talk of the corruption aspect. Now, there's also the problem of participation, coordination of planning. Local government prepare estimate for revenue and without proper recourse to and due consultation with the people, because there must be town hall meetings. Most local government don't conduct town hall meetings, and then they don't take care of the needs, the basic needs of the community. They take care of their own needs instead of the needs of the community members. And there's the issue of corruption, which everybody will agree that it is also local government is not excluded. And then there's lack of autonomy, interference. Though this has been taken care of a little bit, but then it only scratched the surface because nothing has been done yet. That's the Supreme Court judgment of last year. So next slide. Now, this is what happens if we are silent. You can see the different people in the local government. everybody is scrambling for where there is light. That's where there is money, right? So you can see, in the course of that, some are on the ground, some are flying up, some are left behind, and the rest of them. And then you can see the big, big balloons. Those are the people that have started making it with their struggle. So it becomes like a nature place. The big devour the weak, and then things happen if we are not organized. Now, how do we get it right? Look at this picture clearly. You can tell me, how do we collect tax here without corruption taking place? Right? So basically, if the government wants to do anything, then it must understand, it must first of all sit down, understand its goals and mission. Then it will assess its current data resources. Then what needs to be done is to create a learning culture that measures what matters. It is from there that you cannot be able to get any revenue from this place. But at the same time, it is also dangerous. Somebody may say, let's build a modern market. Exactly, you are right. Let's build a modern market. But when you build a modern market again, the people that own the shops here may end up not getting anything from the shops. They may not even earn any shop again. Somebody who has been managing a shop, paying your tax, paying his shop rent for almost 20, 30 years, and now you come and build a modern shop and he ends up without a shop because he's not a power broker. For example, now the shop in my local government, some people from outside the state who are money bags have come to buy all the shops, and then the other people around, the local business ones, are now renters. And so you see the tenement problem continue. The rental economy continue. Next slide. So if we want to do anything by the local government, there must be local government accountability. No, go back a little bit. Go back. So there has to be, there has to be leadership by example. If you want local government accountability, there has to be leadership by example. And that leadership by example is to set clear expectations, set achievable goals, have frequent conversation, get feedback, whether good or bad, be considerate, and then create an environment of trust and maintain equilibrium and equality so that everybody is being taken along with. Next slide. So in conclusion, local government is supposed to respond to promptly and promptly to our own problems, but unfortunately, it is not the case. And that is why there was a Supreme Court judgment, so that one of the issues affecting local government is the issue of financial autonomy. And then with that financial autonomy, the next thing is that the battle is not yet won. There has to be some other elaborate arrangement to ensure an effective system of managing finance in the local government, and a combination of some structural and institutional factors have to also continue to be taken care of. Next slide. Now, in conclusion, the officials of local government have to do their best to sustain public confidence in the local government. Then the credibility of the country and the local government is at the lowest now because of lack of that credibility. So the challenge is for the local government to ensure strict compliance with all that is expected, and then do what is needful in order to fight and continue fighting for the next battle, which is the autonomy that we give them, administrative autonomy and other autonomies. Thank you very much for listening. Next slide. Next slide. Good. So over to you, Chief Host.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for the session. Thank you. So we've come to the time for questions. Please, let me say this so that we don't keep, I can see so many hands up, right? Again, please keep your questions very short and brief. Remember that others are waiting, right? So that we can all get to ask our questions. Keep it brief and straight to the point. Sadiq, you can unmute and ask your question.
All right. Thank you so much. Good evening, Prof, and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the insightful presentation. While going through the slide earlier on before the class, I was kind of amazed that some of the responsibilities of the local government, which are highlighted there, and which often at times we, the locals, thought these responsibilities are meant for the federal government or state government to deliver on. So my question here is that what are the steps or channels for one to follow in holding the local government responsible in situation where it fails to deliver on mandate? Maybe let's say there is an issue of refuse dump, which may be creating go slow in the road or maybe causing a lot of pollution. Now, what are the steps that one should take in ensuring that he engages the local government officials to get that done? Thank you. And in a situation where that issue persists and the officials fail to respond to that, what is the next time action then? Thank you.
Oh, that's a very good question. Am I audible enough? Am I audible
Yes, sir,
enough,
you are.
please? Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, sir, you are.
You see, the issue of the local government is the same thing as the issue of Nigeria itself. It's just like the issue of Nigeria. The local government is just another nation within a bigger nation. So what is most paramount in a political era, that's in a democracy, is there are only majorly 2 or 3 things: lobbying, pressure groups, and then monitoring and evaluation. You have to track development, right? So the federal government have signed the Freedom of Information Bill many years ago. But when you go to the local government to seek for that information, you hardly get it, right? Even at the state level, they will not even want to give it to you, especially when you say, give me the bill of quantity. That's where the problem is. Among all the projects that you see local government, state government, and federal government is executing, the only most sensitive document that nobody wants to give you is the bill of quantity. Because the bill of quantity contains the information about how much is this contractor supposed to spend, how much is the quantity of cement, how much is this, how much is that, how much is this, how much is that. And that is why on the signboard, you always see wherever there is a construction, you see a signboard indicating who is handling the contract and the rest of them. Please, if you are going to go for that tracking of that contract, then better go very diplomatically, because they will not be willing to give you the bill of quantity. And that's where the beginning of the problem is. So usually I advise, because I'm also a member of the local government accountability mechanism in my state, that's Kaduna State. I'm one of the patrons. I'm also tracking development in my local government. So what we do is, you first of all hold the councillor accountable, and then make sure that he knows what he is doing. And then you now go there and get audience with the chairman, and make sure that you have a good rapport with your traditional ruler. That's very, very important. The traditional rulers. Now, mind you, when we say traditional rulers, some people make the mistake of thinking that we are talking about the traditional ruler, the first-class traditional ruler. The traditional ruler from your own, the Bale, from your own village, the Bale, that's where the starting point is. So he will, like in the case of Kaduna State, when we go for tracking, we engage the traditional rulers at the grassroots level. Well, before we even do any tracking, we do what is called community needs assessment. So it is left for the people, all of us, to come together and do what is called community tracking. Before you do community tracking, you do what is called community need assessment. So every community, every street has its own problem. So before the budget period, you have to gather all those information, put it in such a way that this is the needs of our community. You make the local government, you make the councillor to sign, you make the local chief to sign, you make all the strategic leaders in the community to sign, and now you present it to the councillor, who will now present it at the budget briefing level so that it will be included in the budget. And then you also give the chairman a copy, and the APOS will send it to the state government, Minister of Finance, Budget and Planning, and the rest of them, Minister of Local Government, and the rest of them, so that they can now see what is going to happen. This place, this is what they demand for. You may not get it right, but then next year again, you continue. Say that this is what we brought. Out of 10, you may get 1 or even 0. You still continue like that till you get what you want. You may not get it all. I see somebody put in the chat that the lifespan of the local government is 4 years, 2 years, and the rest of them. Exactly, with that 2 years, that's what you're supposed to do. So it's a lifetime struggle. It's a lifetime struggle. Sorry for taking long on that question. Yes, next question, please, Dikas.
Okay, thank you, sir. Onyeka Chuku, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, good evening, Prof, and thank you for that insightful presentation. I was thinking actually, and I think you answered part of my question, because I was thinking where you posed the poser, you said how then do we ensure that the communities are involved in the process of local government governance? So I was beginning to think, can't we have something like charter of demand or needs assessment, which you've just mentioned now? Much as my only concern then in the course of your explanation, why would we now begin to collate our community needs assessment that we should hand over to the councillor, who now takes it to the budget meeting for inclusion? And then again, we begin to take part of it again to send to the state government. I mean, I'm getting because I am thinking that ideally, the budget of the local government should be there for the local government. And then when the state do their own thing, it goes for the state. So the confusion in taking community needs assessment from a particular local government, which should be going to the budget, now going back to the state. That is where I think I have my little concern. But thank you for that insightful presentation.
Yeah. I know why I said so. Am I audible enough?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir, you are.
I know why I said so. You see, you are dealing with politicians. As you are dealing with politicians, when you give him that community-based needs, right? Mark you in the same local government, maybe in the same ward, you have also somebody who is appointed a commissioner, right?
Yeah.
And then he will also bring up that demand. So it's now a struggle between two tigers. It's now a struggle between two elephants. Who will get his project through? I hope you get me. So the state government, when you take it there, the state government, if they feel that it's going, for example, now in Amak, or let's take example, Wuse Market, the councillor representing Wuse area, right, would take up something that he wants the Amak should do for on behalf of Wuse Market, right? Now you've forgotten that also somebody who is the Minister of State is maybe from Amak, and then he's also interested in that project in Wuse Market. Now he will prefer the state to handle it than the local government to handle it. So that is why that knowledge between the two is very, very important. So that you allow them to struggle among themselves. So that usually what they do is that when they come for meeting, usually everybody table his own problem. So now the state government can decide to say, no, we'll handle this as the state. Why? Because we are going to get more credit. If you are able to win the Wuse Market traders, you win them over to your side, automatically what it means is that you are now going to get what? More votes. But if it is a councillor that provides that thing, there is a councillor that will get more votes and the other guy will lose. So that is why it's a competition between, and that's why even the state government don't want the local government to be independent, because if the local government become independent, they are going to be recognized, right, more than the state government. And as such, when you come for voting era, right, the local government chairman will determine who you're supposed to vote at the state level, because he will now tell you that this is the person that did this is the person that did this. So it's a kind of era of politicking. So you have to be wise in doing whatever you are doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that response. Justin Ponzim, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for this presentation. From what we've gone through so far, what I've understand here in Nigeria is like, most especially from where I'm coming from, that's my local government of origin. The issue I used to see is that most of those people engaged in the administration of the local government, can I say more than half of the participants there are not literate. Let me just use that word, because they are not somehow educated. And then all these kind of things, now to know your roles, they know the limits to which you can do some of these things. These people barely understand this. And so it just be like you just come into office and then run the affairs based on their own imaginations. Then they just do things anyhow, like things are not being organized. In this case now, how do we ensure that at least these people that are involved in governance have small education or enlightenment about the administrative affairs of the local government? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. That is a very important question. You see, let me give you an example of Kaduna State. In Kaduna State, we have what you call Kaduna Local Government Accountability Mechanism, KADLAGAM. I'm a member of KADLAGAM. I'm also the patron of KADLAGAM. What we do is that we are a collection of volunteers who come together to track the activities going down at the local government level. So it's not just the tracking of the activity, but also having stakeholder meeting with both the local government officials, the Minister of Local Government Commission, the Minister of Local Government Affairs, the Local Government Service Commission, and the rest of them. We kind of insist on having a synergy with them, right? So that we now tell them this is what is supposed to be done. Now they also tell us this is what you're supposed to tell us. So what we are doing is that there's a synergy, there's a partnership between the Kaduna State Local Government Accountability Mechanism and the local governments. So at each local government area, we have what you call ward champions, ward community champions. Those ward community champions are the ones that are tracking the activities of the local government. And then they are giving us feedback, and we officially will report to the state, and then we'll also come back to the local government council and then report. So we have a very good coordination of activities at that level. From there, we also insist on telling the state, see, there's low capacity here. And it is one of even the most biggest problem we are having at the local government. That is why some of us are very skeptical about this Supreme Court judgment, because at the end of the day, when you implement it fully, then you don't have the capacity, some local government don't have the capacity to implement it fully. So, for example, I know of a local government that has only one bank. The whole of the local government, with almost 2 million people, they have only one bank. And now, if you now bring that money to that local government, I don't know how it's going to be like. So you see, that's the issue of capacity is very, very important. Thank you.
No. Thank you, sir, for that. Jeremiah, please, you can unmute and ask your question. Jeremiah Ogori.
Okay, good evening, Prof, and thank you for these thought-provoking lectures. My question is in regards to local government autonomy. In Nigeria, can we actually experience that? Can we really have local government autonomy in Nigeria, or is it just going to continue to be a fallacy? And then, secondly, my question is in regards to local governments, urban slums. If you look at some of the northern states in Nigeria, we discover that they have the characteristics of an urban settlement where you see good road, third road, street lights, borehole water and other things. But then, in spite of that, you still see drainages where dirt are being thrown inside drainages, and then it becomes immersed in the local governments. Is there no way or mechanism whereby there can be sensitization of the people to see the importance of keeping their drainage clean so that there can be prevention of diseases and then leading to development of the local government? Because from that picture you actually showed us now, there is a difference between the actual local government urban area and then the local government urban area we see in Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You see, let me come back. It's just like the earlier person that spoke. We are talking about local government, but we are thinking that they are people from the heaven. They are also part and parcel of us. The councillors, the chairman, in short, everybody, starting from His Excellency Tinubu, he is also from a local government area. He's claiming a local government area. If you go and check his detail, you see that he's claiming a local government area. So what I'm trying to show here is that, you see, it is a collective. We have to do a collective destiny. We have to check our destiny collectively by taking responsibility for making our local government functional in terms of health and the rest of them. And that is why with this present situation, where in the USAID is having problem, so the financing of many of the activities of non-governmental organizations that are always glamoring for autonomy for local government, glamoring for other things and the rest of them will be very difficult, because now it means that we have to take our destiny in our hands and collectively organize ourselves to make sure that things are doing well. Even in my own area, there's a part of my own area where the government has have gone ahead to do a very good pavement and then tie the road and the rest of them. Now, because it's a bit crowded area, we decided on our own to establish some bombs. But do you know that in the night, some people came and sorry, as I was saying, the government did a very good road, right? Then because of the speed of the people, we put some bombs, but unfortunately, some people in the night, midnight, came and dug some holes out of it so that they can be able to pass with their motorcycle. So you can see it is not the fault of the government alone, but also the fault of the people, because you have to take ownership of what is happening. You are the owner of yourself and your destiny. So you have to also take the ownership of your health condition, environmental condition, educational condition. You have to be conscious of it. In short, we are living in a very era of scarce resources. So anybody that wants to get those resources, either political power or any other power, he has to work for it. So it is very important that we come together and then demand for what is expected, and we also do the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, Olatunji Timothy. Olatunji Timothy, you can unmute.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. So, yeah, my question is around the efficiency of the local governments. You know, like in the First Republic, local governments were created and funded by each of the regions. And we realized that they were very efficient then. But now, local governments is regarded as the third level or third tier of government, and we observe that they are not as efficient as they were in the First Republic. Now, my question now is, do we think, which of the two do we think will be more productive or much better? Having a local government that is completely autonomous, or having a local government that will be created by the state, as in each state creating a number of local government that they feel they need and they can take care of? So which of the two do we think will be more productive and viable? Thank you so much. So that is my question, please.
Okay, I think it's having a facilitator is having a network challenge. I
No,
think
I'm
he
not.
has.
I wasn't. Sorry,
Okay, sir.
I wasn't having a network challenge.
Okay,
Somebody
okay, sir.
started with the board. Somebody came out the screen, and from
Okay,
there it's on. Somebody, please stop touching the screen. He put the
okay,
whiteboard, and then the whiteboard covered everything. Okay, so
okay,
you
sir.
see, the First Republic, the local governments performed very well because they were the breadwinner of the family. They were the one that was producing the palm oil that was lubricating the local economy and international economy. They were the one that were producing the cotton and the granite that was lubricating the European market and the local markets for our textile and the rest of them. Now, our forefathers made a mistake. Immediately we discover oil, they now forget about those other things. They now forget about it. And they said oil can take care of us. So oil can take care of us, but then oil cannot be handled by local governments. It has to be handled by the federal government. And that was the beginning of the collapse of the local government. So automatically the local government becomes not relevant again. You are not producing anything now. So why are you? You're just a consumer. So why are you worrying us? And that's exactly what happened. But now the oil is going back. The international market is also fighting for its oil and the rest of them. So the revenue from the oil is becoming a problem. And as such, attention is now back to the local government, where those former commodities that were sustaining the nation at that time will now have to now come back again and sustain the nation in this period of crisis. And that is why there is the glamour for the local government. And that is why the local government will have to live up to expectation. Every local government has something that can be used to be exported for foreign currency. So it means that their attention is now on the local government. And what it means is that every expertise is needed at the local government to help harness the product that is needed to be taken abroad and even consumed at home. Look at the issue of rice. Look at the issue of palm oil and the rest of them. Look at even our gari that is being exported outside the country. Even the yams from Benue State and Nasarawa State that are being exported outside the country. So these are very, very important areas that the local government has to take care of in order to survive in the international situation now. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Aminu, you can unmute and ask your question. Aminu Mohammed.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I must commend your effort. So my question is, given the operational efficiency of local government administration in Nigeria, what are some of the practical, given the constitutional and operational challenges local government face in Nigeria, especially regarding financial autonomy and state government interference. So what practical steps can be taken to ensure true decentralization and empower local councils to function effectively in service delivery? Looking forward to your expert perspective. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for this question. What I want you to understand is that nobody is going to give you fish free of charge. There is no free lunch in any part of the world, right? So if you want autonomy for local government, you must fight for autonomy for local government. And you must show cause that you are really serious about that autonomy. If not, so nobody is going to give you that autonomy. And that's exactly what is happening at the local government level. So it means that, Mike, you don't look at the local government as if they are from the moon. They are our brothers and sisters. So we are the one who have the responsibility of also guiding them, showing them how they can be able to become fully independent, and then even On our own, we can even organize classes for them to teach them how to do budgeting, to teach them how to do some other things and the rest of them, that to make the management of the local government very efficient. Because obviously there is going to be competition between the federal government and state government, and between the state government and local government. And that is why we have the Intergovernmental Relations Department that is situated in the office of the Secretary to the Federal Government. But unfortunately, it is its responsibility to coordinate such things, but then it is occupied with other things, and maybe that is why it is not forthcoming. And then the federal government also, in its wisdom, right from time immemorial, established 3 schools and gave them budget so that they can be taking care of the local government skilled and non-skilled workers. That's Obafemi Awolowo University, Ahmadu Bello University, and Nsukka. They all have the 3 departments of local government and development studies. Their responsibility is to bring out students and then train the local government staff so that they can be forthcoming in discharge of their duty. But unfortunately, with the relegation of the local government behind some years back, there is no concern about the local government. Mark you, in Nigeria as a whole, local government staff are collecting the least salary. So who will, for example, you, Aminu, now, can you live where you are enjoying a very good figure of salary of maybe 400,000 per month to come and collect maybe 100,000 per month at the local government? Nobody is willing to do that. So that is why it is a collective responsibility by all of us to see that our attention now goes back to the local government on how to make the local government a better place to live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. F. Young, you can unmute and ask your question.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Prof. Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful lecture. Really touched a lot of areas that we don't even have knowledge about. So my question is on local government, the challenge of local government development. So I want to ask, how can local government in Nigeria effectively utilize geographical information system and data to enhance revenue collection, urban planning, and infrastructural development, despite the limited access to reliable data, inadequate technical capacity, and insufficient funding, sir? That's my question, sir. Thank you.
That question, you have already answered it yourself. You know the geographical information system. Believe me, honestly, if you ask a local government chairman now, very few local government chairman knows anything about geographical information system. And we are in the 21st. In short, let me ask you, sir. Let me give you an assignment. Immediately after this class, Google your local government and see if it has a website. Most local government, even my own local government, don't have a website. Students who are writing on local government don't have anywhere they can go and ask, when is this local government found? They can look at the internet and then get authentic information about it. It is now that we are trying our best to see that these local governments all have a website, they have the documentation of their projects and the rest of them for reference purpose, and not just for reference purpose. You can always look at, if you have, for example, if you have your own website, people can go there and then give you even feedback, because feedback is very, very important in governance. There cannot be any good governance without feedback, right? So, but many local governments in Nigeria don't even have a website. So the issue of geographical information system is even ruled out. In short, many local governments don't even have a WhatsApp group that they communicate with. I know that the only ones that have a very serious WhatsApp group is those that are dealing with health matters, because of the issue of immunization, outbreak of cholera, and the rest of them. But the other departments, I'm sorry, nothing like that. So it is now that it is your responsibility and my responsibility to educate our local governments so that they can be able to live up to expectation. Thank you very much. There's somebody asked a question in the chat. Let me quickly answer him. Joel, sorry if I don't pronounce your name well. Joel said, what lesson can Nigeria learn from other countries regarding effective local government administration, such as India, Brazil, United States? The lesson we can learn is that, the first lesson is that, another assignment for you again, look at the capacity of your local government chairman. How many years of experience does he have? Don't even look at that of the chairman. Look at the councillor. How many years experience has he gotten in his life? For example, after secondary school or after university graduation, what does he know about governance? What does he know about tracking of a project? What does he know about monitoring and evaluation? What does he know about community needs? So in those other countries we are talking about, before you can become a local government chairman, you must have shown course that you are aware of what is happening, right? But here we allow the godfathers to sponsor people to go and contest for local government chairmanship, councillors. They contest for state assembly. They contest for senator. They contest for governor. They contest for this, contest for that. So it is, the ball now goes back to the community. In your community, what is the situation there? How can you galvanize, organize, coordinate people so that they can be asking the right question concerning the governance in their community? Most of us that are in this class don't even know the chairman of our local government. Even if you are staying in Abuja, if you don't know the chairman of your local government, by the time you go home for Christmas or Easter or Salah break, you may be surprised that your father's house is earmarked for demolition by the local government chairman because you abuse him online, in the internet, right? So we have to really come together and realize that we are the one to rescue the local government, not just only edit Supreme Court judgment and the rest of them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vasi, Bob, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Prof. Thank you. Good evening, Prof. Good evening, everyone. In the course of your analysis and presentation, you made mention of taking care of a primary school as one of the functions of the local government, and you also made mention of our grants being given to the local government to carry out that function. And my question is, this grants that has been allocated to local government to take care of the primary schools and primary healthcare centers, is it something that is always done every year or just once in a while? I really want to know because I'm so much particular about anything that has to do with education. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You see, the federal government transferred the salaries of primary school teachers to the local government. Right now that I'm talking to you with the Supreme Court judgment, there's a tangle, there's the struggle. Primary school teachers are saying, remove us from local government control. Let us go back to state government. While state government is saying that remain there. And the local government are saying also remain with us, right? But you can see that education is a concurrent and not even it's a very serious issue that cannot be tackled just at the local government level alone. But the issue is that if the local government has subvention as its allocation, it must give the local government. Now you talked about grants. Now these grants that I talked about, they are grants that are brought to the local government based on certain things that must have happened. For example, if there is an outbreak of cholera in a particular local government, some government, when we say grant, we are not saying that you are giving all the cash. At times the grant comes in form of material. At times the grant comes in form of vehicles. At times the grant comes in form of equipment. And then also a little money to supplement. So it's a kind of partnership between the local government paying some little percentage and then the granting officer paying the larger chunk of the money, right? So that coordination. So what we are saying is that in most times, those grants are being misused by the local government. That is why, for example, if you are careful now, just look very well. If you are living in any of this local government area, you will see some vehicles. They now even write the institution that donates that vehicle. But some have disappeared into personal people's hand, and those inscriptions have been removed. So that's what I'm saying. So basically, it is the same thing. We are the one to struggle to make the local government become very, very effective. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Olusegun Nelson. Olusegun Nelson, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma. Yeah, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, go ahead. We
Loud
can hear
and
you.
clear.
Good
Go
evening.
ahead.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, I want to ask this question, sir. If you look back or if you check, we discover I'm going towards the local government elections, and I want to ask, how can we overcome this particular problem during our local government election? We discover that if Party A happens to be the governor of the state, that party will win all the local government. But if you check the state assemblies, you will discover that we have other political parties were represented at the assembly. But when it comes to local government election, they take it up. How can we overcome that? One, sir. Two, if you check our local government, we discover that we have hospitals, government-owned hospitals, and if you check very well, hardly you will see doctors, hardly you will see facilities in those hospitals. I want to ask, is those hospitals, is it the state government that is responsible, or the local government chairman, the one that is responsible for that, for the operation of such a hospital? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. This is a very interesting question. I always, as a grounded local government person, as a grounded person in the local government, I want to tell you that even the state government, in their clinics, in their hospital, the state hospitals, they don't have enough personnel. Why? Because they cannot afford to pay these medical doctors. So that's why even at the primary health care center, they don't have enough to pay them. That is why they can always go away, right? And it is very common all over the country. Anywhere that there's a state hospital, if you go and take the statistics, and that is even why doctors are always japaring. They are always japaring out of the country because their pay and their allowances, you can see them always going on strike. Why? Because nobody seems to care. The executive always have a what you call health tourism. They attend to their health tourism, so they don't seem to care about our health situation. So it is the same thing all over the place. Somebody asked, I don't know, I've forgotten the second question. Somebody is asking, to what extent should state government be allowed to interfere in the administrative and financial affairs of the government? To the extent to which we did not change all the other parts of the constitution. As long as other parts of the constitution give room for the creation of what you call local government joint account, and the creation of Ministry of Local Government Affairs, creation of Local Government Service Board, and the rest of them. As long as those ones are there, there must be there must be the interference of state government in it. Okay, then you ask about a party carries all at the local government election. Why wouldn't a party carry all when the other opposition party is not organized? The other opposition party is not organized. You see, it's a very simple thing. To organize a party is not an easy task. It's a financially based something. So the person that have the finance and have the what you can call have the security at its own its producer and the rest of them, always controls the day. He who owns the piper dictates the tune. When a councillor is paying 1 million naira, as a lecturer as I am, I cannot pay 1 million naira to contest election. Where will I get the 1 million naira? And then I will have to organize party agents, or what you can call party talks and the rest of them. Where will I get that finance? Right? So as if the government in power has the money for those activities, the other political parties, I'm not speaking on behalf of the other political parties, they don't have the muscles, right? And as we talk about state election, local government elections are the worst elections that is conducted in Nigeria. There is no fair practice, or what you can call free and fair election at the local government election. The election I witnessed in my own state, there was no election in short, because there was no ballot box in my place for anybody to vote. So I don't know where they got the figures, and then they declared whoever is the winner. Unfortunately, that's what I realized. So you can see it's a local affair. And that is why some of us are saying that please remove the State Electoral Commission, SEC, remove them from conducting local government election. Let the ANEC conduct local government election, because at that level, the level of manipulation is going to be to a large extent less. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that. Pam Bagos, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, Prof. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. My question is in regards to interference of the affairs of the local government, but this time around we're interference by the State House of Assembly. Looking at the financial financial powers the local government chairman has, can the State House of Assembly interfere into the affairs of the local government administration in terms of financial accountability and transparency? I can back up this question with an example that happened in my state back in 2023, where Plateau State House of Assembly suspended all local government chairmen because there was an indicting report from a set-up committee. So they allegedly indicted the local government chairman for financial misappropriation. The House invited them over to come and defend themselves, which they refused to come to the House. So the House decided to suspend all chairmen, and TICs were set up, and that was the end of their tenure. So the question now is, do they have such powers to interfere in the financial activities of the local government chairman? Thank you, sir.
According to the 1999 Constitution, oversight function of the local government is also included into the activities of the state government. So the local government must subject itself to oversight function by the state assembly. I hope you understand. And because of that virtue of that regulation, what it means is that if the local government is to function, if the state legislators are to function very well, then they must also do oversight function in terms of the local government. And mark you, even the Supreme Court judgment has not removed that very big function. And that is why I said, he who owns the piper dictates the tune. So as long as the local governments are not living up to expectation, obviously they are going to be under check and balance. But most importantly, the state assembly also dance to the tune of the executive in power. That's what I want you to also know. They dance to the tune of the executive in power. So what the executive wants at the end of the day is what is going to be done by the local government. Especially most at times the godfathers at the local government are the ones that give rise, or are the ones that appoint or give powers to the local government to behave the way they want to behave. So, for example, they determine who is going to be the chairman, they determine who is going to be the councillor, they determine this, determine that, and the rest of them. So, basically, that is what is happening. And as such, nothing much can be done. That's why I said, don't look at the local government in isolation. We should also look at the local government within the context of the Nigerian situation. It is also a victim of itself and a victim of the continuous marginalization of the downtrodden masses of Nigeria by the bourgeoisie. And that is why they will not allow the local government to breathe. Because if they allow the local government to breathe, then automatically the local government chairman is going to be more powerful than the state government, the state governor. Because a local government chairman that is very powerful and achiever may end up doing so many things that the state government cannot think of even doing it. And as such, becomes a problem. So you look at it within that context. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mansur Dahiru, unmute and ask your question.
Good evening, Prof. Good evening, sir. Good evening, class. Sir,
yeah,
my question here is, you made mention earlier about how to engage the traditional rulers in order to have a favorable political environment. But what if in a situation like it happens to be the traditional rulers are headache to the progress of the community as a whole? So how do you boycott them and go and do the necessaries? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You see, the traditional rulers, you can see, let me give you a very simple analogy. You remember, some of you are old enough, remember the query that Abubakar Rimi gave the Emir of Kano, and the query that I think is it Ilefe, this thing was given a query by the local government chairman. You see, constitutionally, they are under the local government chairman, all the traditional rulers, because their salary comes from the local government corps, right? But unfortunately, they are also very great personalities. If you take, for example, I always give example of Kebbi State. The whole of Kebbi State, most of the traditional rulers there are retired major generals who are heading most of the chiefs and kingdom in those areas, emirs and the rest of them. They are all retired generals, and they are money bags. So tell me, how can you go talking to a money bag anyhow? Because you are a local government chairman. So most at times, those people sponsor people to contest local government election. That's the irony of it. They sponsor them to contest local government election. So they are their boys. You remember the saga of the former minister and former governor of Anambra State, Ngigi. When he started to fight his master, what happened? He has to run out of the government house via the kitchen, because the government house was bombed. So you can see it's the same thing. So I want you to look at everything within a bigger perspective, that is not just a local affair, but it's also a national affair, a national conspiracy that is being handled at the local government level, which demands very serious attention from everybody. Thank you.
Okay, Itsunolua, you can unmute and ask your question.
All right, good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for the class. It was insightful. Yeah, so my question, I have two questions actually. So the first question would be in terms of election of the local government chairmen and the councillors. So in this regard, if we have people who have majorly lived in the diaspora and they are interested in contesting for local government chairmen, because we've seen cases like that. And my own thoughts my thought or my belief is that these people really do not know so much about the local government, and then they are coming to contest for an election. So how do we, first of all, what are the guidelines to ensuring that these people are informed and these people, they actually know what they are doing based on the constitution? What are the guidelines for those people
online?
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
You see thank you for, just repeat the last part of your listing, sorry.
Okay. So the question is that what are the rules or guidelines that have been put in place for people who are in diaspora, who are interested in coming to become the local government chairmen and the councillors that really do not have an idea of how things run in the local government. What are the guidelines put in place for
That's
these
a very
people?
good. That's a very good question. Am I
That's the
audible
first
now?
question. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Should I
So
ask the second
yeah.
question or you answer this one first?
Okay, go ahead. Ask the second question.
Okay, all right, sir. The second question is for when it comes to infrastructure in the local government. For example, for example, industries, having an industry in an environment. Who is responsible for endorsing an industry in an environment? And then who should be accountable for this? Because there are examples of where industry becomes an environment, they cause noise pollution, they cause air pollution, and sometimes they don't even deliver on their promises of giving job opportunities to the locals and also to providing road infrastructure in the capacity in which they can. So who should be held accountable for all of this? That's the second question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I can't hear you clearly. It's breaking. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, my network just skip a little bit. So now let me answer the first question first. Then we now go to the second one quickly. Yeah. So the first question, the rule of the game is very clear. Am I audible enough? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah.
We can
The
hear you loud
rule
and
of the
clear.
game, the rule of the game is very, very clear. Anybody who is contesting for any post in Nigeria must be a Nigerian who has a national, who has a, not just indigenous, for a local government chairman, he must have an indigenous certificate of that local government. Then he must be a registered member of the party. Now that's where the problem is. Who is a registered member of the party? Somebody can come and register during Christmas and go away, or during New Year, or during Salah and go away, back abroad and enjoy himself there. And then because he's a money bag, he controls the mechanism of the party at his own local level. That means he opens an office, employs staff, pay them very well, and as such, they'll be working for him. So even if he's not around, they are working for him. So there's no law that says somebody from diaspora cannot contest local government elections. It all depends on his degree of politicking. If he knows how to politic very well, then automatically he will not have any problem with his election. Thank you very much. Then ask the second question, please. Hello?
Ibrahim Adeleke, you can ask your question. Unmute and ask your question. Ibrahim Adeleke.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Prof. Well, even though some of the question I had wanted to ask has been, answered by you in the course of your response. So my question basically is on financial autonomy. Sorry, can you confirm you can hear me, please?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So it's on financial autonomy, and basically it's about given that the local government in Nigeria often struggles financial independence. You agree with me, due to state control, right? And so I'm asking, what practical steps do you think can be taken to ensure that local councils around, like in Nigeria, actually function effectively without excessive interference from the state government? For countless times you've mentioned that either plays the pipe or dictates the tune, and I feel it is because of the excessive interference of the state government in local government affairs that most often than not renders the local government administration almost useless. I can give example, like markets is under the control of the local government, where they do go there, get rates or tenement or something like that. But unfortunately, in the states where I come from, Ogun State, the state government actually takes over the rates collection, that ordinarily or constitutionally belong areas. So what do you think can be done to actually reduce the excessive influence of the state government on local government administration? Thank you so much, sir.
You see, it is human nature. It is human nature. By human nature, what I mean is that you can only be a friend to somebody who has something to give you. You cannot be a friend to the liability. The local governments are not liabilities. And that is why the state government are sticking clearly, closely, and monitoring them, because they have something that they need. And what is that thing they need? The populists are at the local government level. I hope you understand. The taxpayers who are informal taxpayers are at the local government level. The granite seller, the pure water seller, the vulcanizer, the village market, and the rest of them. That's why the state government must function, because they collect quick money at that very level to supplement the federation account. But what we are saying is that in as much as we are querying with the collection of the money, but we are also saying that if you collect the money and you remit it accordingly to those that the amount you're supposed to remit to the local government, then we don't have problem with that. We don't have problem with that. But where we have problem is that you will collect the money, you fail to remit it, and then that's where, and then the accountability level of the state government, nobody has ever clear to tell us how much the state have collected and then how much it is given to the local government. So you can see that the issue is not just the local government alone. The issue is that all of us have to wake up and then seek accountability, both at the state and at the local government level. I hope you understand. Am I audible enough?
Yes, sir, you are. Thank you, sir.
Yes. So,
for that.
yes. Thank you.
Idris Abubakar, you can
think
unmute and ask your
Sonol
question.
not ask the second question. Sorry, please, for cutting in. So maybe we'll just allow him. I think that was
Okay, what's the second question? Remind me of the second question, please.
It's no, Lua, please go ahead.
Hello. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the second question, first of all, thank you for that response concerning the people, someone in diaspora. I don't know if there are ways where how we can mitigate it, for us to have like a set down rule or guidelines for those who are in diaspora. If so, your expertise will be required, so your advice will be required in this matter. Then the other question would be that I asked is concerning industries. I asked who is responsible for apportioning industries or allowing industries in a locality, who should be held accountable for it in situations where there are noise pollution or air pollution, and in situations where they do not deliver on their promises of providing job opportunities for the locals and also road construction for the environment. So that's the second question.
Thank you very much. You see, that is where the issue of understanding the demarcation between local authority and state authority and federal authority comes into question. I hope you understand. Most industries are the permission to set up the industry, to get the land first, supposed to come from the state government. But locally, it is supposed to be from the local government. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, the responsibilities of local government has been hijacked by state government for so long. And as such things that you are expecting the local government to do, they cannot be able to do it because their responsibility has been hijacked. I hope you understand. Now, basically, because that responsibility has been hijacked, what it means automatically is that what we are supposed to do is we have to now collectively seek back our mandate, retrieve our mandate of getting the right thing done at the right time. What I mean by retrieve our mandate is that we should demand for the reversal of such kind of decisions. We should demand that such should not occur, right? So that we can be able to now regain our rights. And that can only be done collectively without sentiment, regardless of tribe, local government, regardless. You know, the problem is that this bourgeoisie have many ways of divide and rule. So when you come to contest election, you now remember that, hey, you are from this minority tribe. How can you, a minority, come and then take over the responsibility, or you will now rule over us as majority? You are from this religion and the rest of them. Fully well that religion and tribe does not know hunger. If I'm hungry as a Muslim, a Christian is also hungry. We are all hungry. I hope you understand. So, and then when it comes to stealing the money, it's also the same thing. They steal the money together. They do all the corrupt action together, right? But when it's come to little manipulation, remedial manipulation, they remember this one is from minority, this one is from majority, and the rest of them. This one is not for my clan, this one is not for my clan, and the rest of them. So the struggle should be understood as a collective struggle that should be handled by everybody. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Green, please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Good evening, Prof, and good evening, class.
Good evening. You're welcome.
I'm in Green from River State. My question is similar to what Dahiru has asked, but in a different dimension. There is a disparity between the local government and the traditional institution. Let me use my local government as a case study. I come from Bonny Island, which we call ancient Bonny Kingdom. It has existed for decades, and the traditional institution felt that they are more superior than the local government. And it is in that regard, we have double authorities in our LGA. We have the traditional institution, which even the local government takes instruction from. And these people have been able to do more harm than good. Because as I speak to you, with the Logic Act and the oil and gas and PIA laws, the traditional institution are setting up the host community trust. And I don't think that is their jurisdiction. But because they are the big men and the people with the bags of the money, the most oil companies prefer dealing with them rather than with the immediate communities. And this is a serious lacuna in my LGA because it's going to create futuristic problem. Secondly, in NURPC, my community is regarded as a kingdom, and not only my community, most Niger Delta communities, because they have been around for ages, they use the word kingdom rather than local government. And this is contradictory to me because I saw that on NURPC website where they wrote Bonny Kingdom, and I was surprised if it's Bonny Kingdom or Bonny local government. Thank you, sir.
You see, it's not, thank you for this question. You see, your question is not a local question. Your question is not a local issue. Your question is a Nigerian issue. Why do I say it's a Nigerian issue? Because every local government, for example, let me give you a very clear example with Nasarawa State. Some part of Nasarawa State produce the largest tantalite in Nigeria, right? Now that tantalite is being mined in this particular local government. But could you believe that the governor will come and go to where the company is producing tantalite without even the chairman of the local government knowing what is happening? And then the traditional rulers are the ones that are interacting with the company of the tantalite. They are the ones dishing out issues. In my place where I also stayed, there is this rice milling companies, a lot of rice milling companies. Now, these rice milling companies, they do a lot of pollution issues. Everywhere smelling because of the rice milling, right? Could you believe that it is the traditional ruler that even intimates the local government that something has to be done? Because the local government is not even concerned about the councillor is educational level is not up to that level of the traditional ruler of even knowing that this is an issue for of concern. So the issue is that is why we are suggesting that there must be a very good synergy between the youths, the elders, and the traditional rulers in order to now salvage the problem. It's not one man show. It should not be considered as one man problem, but rather it should be considered as our collective problem. And if it is our collective problem, then we should use collective solution. Yeah, we know some people will gain more, because when it comes to money, when it comes to bread, everybody wants to cut the largest share of the bread. So if that is the case, then it means that we also have to come together and restructure the sharing formula in our own local setting. And that is why I said, even if we are giving local government the whole of autonomy, right, we are also going to come into the problem that we face. You know, when Babangida was the president, at a certain point in time, he gave the local government complete autonomy. But what happened? A very good example is, I think Benue State and Kwara State or Cross River State also. What the local government chairman did was, immediately they went to the bank and collected that subvention. They disappeared. And they are not seen up to today. So that is why they have to now remove that clause. They have to now bring the state local government joint account. No money will be released unless you have a budget, you have a proposal, you have an estimate that will now back up the release of that money. That was the reason behind that. So what it means is that we are the one that's supposed to struggle and make that reality based on our own educational level and understanding the act of struggle, because nothing is going to be given to you on the platter of gold. You have to struggle for it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Then, Niran, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hello, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, Professor. My question is concerning the local government election too, sir. And in my region here, I've been noticing some, like, it has been occurring years, even decades now, that the local government election is not always done on time. And maybe whenever they want to do it, it will be later in the maybe so that the chairman will not be able to use up to his life the normal years that they ought to use. So they can only use maybe up to a year. So before the whole government will now like end. And so I want to ask that is there any issue behind it, or is just the decision of the state government that is enforcing that, and what can the federal government do concerning that, sir?
The tenure of the local government, you see, is just the lawlessness of Nigeria as a whole. Nobody adheres to constitutional provision and the rest of them. And that is what Tinubu government is trying to do. That see, any local government that is not elected is not a local government. It does not conduct local government election. They is not entitled to get the grants. Now you see, immediately they give that Supreme Court judgment. What did the governors do? All of them unanimously, 36 governors, all of them unanimously met the president and tell him that he should give them a moratorium. A moratorium is a grace of some time so that they can now work on how they can be able to sort out themselves with the local government. Then he extended the period to 3 years, to 3 months, then later 6 months, right? Now, within the period of that 6 months, they went ahead, places like Anambra State, they went ahead and enact some rules and regulations that will not make the state government have indirect control over the local government again, in one way or the other. So you can see that they are what is called by some scholars enemies of local government autonomy, because they went and made those rules and they tried to enforce that rules that is at the local government level. So you can see the problem, right? Then on the issue of the election, as I said earlier on, nobody will friend a poor man. You can only friend somebody that you know that he has something to give you. And that is exactly what is happening at the local government level. The local governments have something that they can give the state government. And that is why the state government cannot leave them like that. And as such, they can do any manipulation they want to make sure that they control the local government. And that's exactly what is happening. So you can see the reason behind what is happening. And that is why some caretaker they prefer the caretaker committee, because the caretaker committee is directly under the governor or any of the delegate, anybody that the governor delegate to control, to give him that power. So because of that, he cannot be able to do it. He cannot be able to do anything as a caretaker committee. He's only given lists of those who he should give money to, and the rest of them who should be given this contract and who should not be given this contract. And that is what he's doing at the local government level. And that is why we are in the situation we are. It is common all over the federation. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, are you there?
Yeah, I'm around.
Yes, I'm here. Danjuma, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hello. Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Danjuma. We can hear you. Go ahead.
My question to the professor is concerning the recent autonomy being granted to every local government. It's a good one, though, because I feel now development is going to reach to the grassroots. But then how does the chairman stay off the radars of all the governors in the respective states? Because I feel the allocations being made in every federal allocation to states before local government are being given theirs does not get to the grassroots as supposed to. So I feel it is going to be a continuum if there are no mechanism that will be put in place to checkmate excesses of every state governor. So how can this local government remain as a bureaucracy on its own? Because so far, we've learned that an autonomy has been given to every local government. So how do they stay off the radars of their state governors? Because as an earlier listener or participant on this platform asked, he said that when you see a governor of a state, a particular state could be from maybe a certain party extraction, maybe PDP or APC, you see suit, every local government in that state tends to be from that same party with the executive. So they don't get to checkmate themselves because, okay, it's just a business as usual, they keep doing. So what are those mechanisms that will be put in place to checkmate SXs of every local government chairman that wouldn't do the bidding of its state's governor? That's my question. Thank you so much.
This is a very interesting question. Unfortunately, me, I don't get the answer. You see why? You see the mechanism that is in place. Just of recent, the federal government, the secretary to the federal government inaugurated a committee that will now look at how the implementation of the local government at the Supreme Court judgment can be streamlined, right? Now that committee has not even submitted its report. But obviously, the central bank governor has instructed all the local governments in Nigeria, elected local governments in Nigeria, that they should submit what? They should submit their bank details so that the money can be remitted. You see, up to now that I'm talking to you, I don't think the money has started dropping down for the local governments yet. It is still some lobbying and the rest of them taking place by the state government. So because of that, that is where the problem is. And because of that, what it means is that getting that full financial autonomy is still far from being done yet. What we only hope for is that now that the Supreme Court judgment is there, government is dragging its leg in terms of allowing it to be implemented. Both the state government and the federal government. Mind you, Tinubu is not in a position, the president is not in a position to give any unilateral decision, because he is also an elected member and he will want to be elected again. And this, I don't control the people that will elect him. So, and as such, he has to also tread gently. He cannot rock the boat. He cannot rock the boat anyhow. So he has to also tread very carefully so that it cannot affect, so that it does not affect his what? Political fortune. I hope you understand. So everybody has a political fortune to guide, and as such, nobody will be willing to stake anything more than reasonable in order to attain that political fortune. And that is what is playing out in the country now. So in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is that we can attain that ideal state only if we have, then we have another problem. Sorry, again, a very little diversion. We have another problem again. Do the local government have the capacity of implementing the judgment? That's another fundamental question. Some local government have, while some don't have. But then again, if those local government wants to have, is the local government going to pay the salaries of people just as the federal government or the state government is paying in order to attract qualified staff? That's another issue again. I hope you can see where the argument is. So it's not a one-way traffic. It's a two-way traffic. Do we have the personnel? If we don't have the personnel, can we employ? If we employ, who will leave his salary of 400,000, for example, in a month, and come and be collecting 150,000 in a month at a local government level? I hope you can see the issue. So the issue is very complex and very complicated. It's not a straight-jacketed issue, and that's why I said it has to be a collective decision by every member of the community, so that they can be able to understand that this is the situation on ground, and then this is how we can be able to sit down and mark the solution to the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that. Julius, can you unmute and ask your question? Julius, are you there? Julius, are you there? Okay, if Julius is not there, Glory, please unmute and ask your question.
Hello?
Oh, Julius
Hello?
is here. We can hear you.
Hello? Okay, good evening. Thank you for this season. Thank you for everything. Now, my question is this. I want to just go straight to the point. You know, in Edo for some weeks back now, there have been this issue coming up
Julius is cracking. I can't hear him.
Issues and fights. So my question is this: is it that most people that go into the executive?
Okay, Julius, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay, let me go for a better network.
Please. Better. So let's take Glory before you come back. Glory.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Professor, for this enlightening and informative session. It has been very impactful. So my question is this. You were mentioned in the slide, I think it's like number 24 now, the sources of local government finances. You were mentioning about the external sources that comes from the state contribution, 10% and it. So I was now looking at it. I'm just trying to make clarification. When you talk about 10%, at the end of the day, where we have maybe like 30 local government, by the time you share 10%, all the money is not, the money is not being used already. So where does the state also get money to fund its own administration? Then number two, I understand perfectly, yes, the constitution is very clear on this matter, but in a states whereby they have LCDs, how do they arrange? Mind you, the states where even the president himself, where he started from, he himself created that structure. So now, how do they function properly in this situation whereby the autonomy, if eventually autonomy of the LG starts working effectively? Is it that the LCDA will be eradicated, or there's a structure put in place? I don't know, maybe there's a kind of a background work going on to adjust to that through the Constitution. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. One, you see, if you look at, that is why I said the problem of the local government did not start today, did not start yesterday. Immediately oil was discovered, the local government becomes a neglected child. It becomes a neglected child, and as such, the revenue accrued from the local government was not considered important anymore. And that is why nobody cared to bring the best hands to mine the local government. So most of the time, it is only, I can confidently tell you that it is only in the last 5 years or so, or last 6 years in Kaduna State, for example, that the governor insisted that anybody who is going to be a level 14 staff in the local government must have a degree and must be pursuing a master's degree. That was when we begin to have some solid educational background at the local government in Kaduna State. Hitherto, somebody with just a first degree will be the director of finance in the local government because of his many years of experience. So that's by the way. So you can see that is the issue. And again, on the issue of the 10%, because the local government has been neglected, automatically the revenue that is accrued to that's supposed to go to the local government in terms of all those areas of revenue that I earmarked in my presentation, all of them, the local government only take care of the burial ground and the cemeteries. But the control, the financial control of the cemeteries and the burial ground is done by the state government. I hope you can see. Especially in big places like Lagos, where people buy, private developers buy cemeteries and burial grounds from government. They buy the land, and now they allow the land to, they allow anybody who has a dead body, he has to buy a plot there in order to bury, and the money goes where? Already the private developer has already settled the government and is paying a yearly or monthly something. So the money goes to his own pocket. And that is why you see a lot of private burial ground in Lagos, especially, and Port Harcourt and the rest of them, the major cities in Nigeria, right? Because of the revenue they get from it. And because it's the responsibility of the local government, but it has been used up based on connivance with state government and the federal government under the cover of what? Under the cover of either PPP, public-private partnership, or under the cover of entrepreneurship and the rest of them. So you can see the money that's supposed to go to the pocket of the government is going into private hand because of connivance that somebody cannot be able to much about it. Now, on the second issue of, I cannot remember the second issue.
It's about the LCD's structure with the LG autonomy.
I can speak confidently about the SDA in my own state, that's Kaduna State. When it was fully existing, some staff from the main local government were reposted to the LCDAs. That was what was done. And the revenue of this, for example, Zaria local government is now divided into two. What is accruable to Zaria local government is divided into two, given to the LCDAs. So if you have in the local government, if you've created 3 or 4 LCDs, then the money is divided into 3 or 4 to cater for what is there. So it is just meant for political expediency, just to have the groups of people who are subservient to the state government and the rest of them. And in the case of Kaduna State, the former governor went to the extent of creating what you call metropolitan centers in Kafanchan, Kaduna, and Zaria, right? Those metropolitan centers were supposed to be coordinating all the affairs of the local government within their own jurisdiction. So what we see with the Supreme Court judgment and the forward looking of the present governor, he automatically canceled those metropolitan centers. And if you go to the metropolitan center and see the amount of money that was expended in setting up the building with the furnitures and the rest of them, is equivalent to empowering 1,000 youths in every local government, in that particular local government where that thing is situated. So they were given a sort of power that even the local government chairman, to some extent, doesn't even have that power, because they have direct connection with the governor in terms of development of activities and the rest of them. So they also, the metropolitan center, handle the feeder roads that local government is supposed to construct. And now with the Supreme Court judgment, then they were all dissolved. So now I was told that they are trying to locate the building to other parastatals so that they can be able to function. So you can see that was how it was that was how it was working. So that's why I say the issue of the local government is an evolving issue that has to be taken. We have to study it very clearly and then understand the dynamics and the changes, and then we now think about how to take a very good path forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Julius, can you unmute and ask your question?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, sorry for the last breakup. My question was this. I said that when it comes to the issue of this local government, you know, few weeks back, there were some issues in Benin whereby the state government actually told all the local government chairmen to actually submit their statement of account and stuff, and some refuse. And because of that, the state government actually now told the local government to shut down. So my question is this: is it that there are those people who are being elected into office, like state government and those who work who around the executive arm, is it that they are not taught? Because in one of those video clips that was actually dropped, one of those boys of the state government actually slapped and beat one of the local government chairmen. So, and the guy was never persecuted or anything, not even charged to court. So my question is this: is it that there is no knowledge or they feel that the local government is not important in the Nigerian government or in a democratic government?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, if you talk one-on-one, if you speak one-on-one, have a dialogue one-on-one, or have a conversation one-on-one on the local government chairman, they will tell you that they are really under a lot of pressure, and they will prefer the non-governmental organization and civil societies to come and fight on their behalf, because ignorantly they are under their godfathers. And who is their godfather? Am I audible now?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, so they are under their godfathers. The godfathers control whatever is happening at the local government level. I hope you understand. So yes, based on that, the state government does what it wants, and the local government cannot do anything much. Mark you, I said they have many rope that is being put on the neck of the local governments. Only one has been removed. That is the financial one. The financial one is being removed with a lot of difficulty. Now, mark you, the local government are still under the control of Ministry of Local Government Affairs. And they are still they are still under control of Local Government Service Board. And then there are some statutory committees of the local government, such as security committees. And then that security committee is headed by the chairman of the local government. But in a local government wherein you have commandant and commissioner of police, then you can understand what is going to happen. because even the local government chairman can be under arrest by those two big guys. I'm sorry to use that word, big guys, right? So, and as such, they can hide under the cover of what? They can hide under the cover of the chairman is going to cause security breach. It's going to cause confusion. It's going to cause crisis in the local government, and they can get him arrested, and there is nothing you can do about it. I hope you understand. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised the local government chairman is slapped by a functionary of the government, because that is just the level of control that the local government are under. And what I'm always saying is that we, when I mean we, is we that are knowledgeable about the issue of local government, we are supposed to take up the mantle of trying to salvage the local government through advocacy, sensitization, and the rest of them, so that people can be able to understand that this is our birthright and nobody should usurp that birthright of ours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for today's class. I think this will be all. Also, apologies to everyone who we weren't able to take your questions. Our time is fast spent. So what we are going to do is we are going to drop Prof's email address. If you have questions, you can follow him. His social media handles will drop it on the main group, and then his email address, so that if you have your questions, you can channel it directly to him to respond to the questions. To everyone who made it to class, thank you and well done. Didi, do we have any announcements from you?
No, none at all. Well done, please. Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay,
it's always such an enlightening. Yeah. Good night, everyone. See you.
Thank you very much. I'm
Thank
sorry
you.
for joining the class a bit late. My network was just messing up.
No
Thank you
problem.
very much.
No problem.
I hope that Elisu will give me also a party one day, so that I can also be a party. Thank you very much, so that we can party at the local government level. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Class with you is always
all the
different. Thank you. Please, let's do this same time tomorrow. Please, we are starting at 5. There's no African time. So please, let's cultivate the culture of reminding our party members, reminding them about class, so that we'll start in good time and then take our questions, right? And please, try as much as possible to join class. Class opens at 4:45.